Dear students, welcome to the study of public administration. In the last episode, we discussed about the definitions and the scope of public administration. In this episode, we are going to discuss about the importance of public administration in developing societies. In this lesson, we discuss one, introduction, features, importance of the public administration in developing societies. As a student of public administration, we know very much public administration helps the societies to develop further. For example, India, we are facing a different type of problems in the country. How the public administration is going to help to fight with these problems. The aim of this is to highlight the role of public administration in developing societies. The term third world or less developed societies are used along with the developing societies and developing countries. The developing societies are mostly those poor countries in Asia, Africa and Latin America, which became independent after the Second World War. Although these terms are used with different meanings in different contexts, they are also used interchangeably. There are several variations as regards to their social and political conditions. However, economic backwardness is common to all these countries. The world today is divided into developed countries, that is America, Canada, Japan, France, etc., more than a dozen countries all over the world, and developing countries, that is the rest of the countries. Necessarily, in the economic and political fields, these countries are clamoring for change. It means they are fighting for change, struggling for change. In developed countries, much attention is paid to sustain the progress achieved. On the other hand, in the developing societies, the dimensions of change, the volume of velocity are more important. The features of the developing societies. In view of the economic and political change, administrative systems in developing countries must adapt themselves to meet the changing requirements. While the problem in developed countries is principally one of reducing the economic disparities, it is one of the increasing production and simultaneously reducing the disparities in the developing societies. Naturally, public administration is confronted with heavy burden. Growth and development with social justice. The two is the quickest possible time is the challenge to public administration in these countries. Further, the developing societies have mostly inherited their administrative systems from their former colonial masters, who designed them for regulation and perpetuation of the colonial rule. Developed societies are having a different problems. Developing societies are having economic problems, political problems, social change, etc. The role of public administration is, number one, the growth of the country, development of the people with the social justice. The whole problem arises in the developing countries is that the administrative structures are taken from the colonial masters. These administrative systems are found unsuitable to meet the growing needs of welfare and development. The distinguishing features of public administration in developing societies are discussed here. Number one, public administration is not adequate to meet the growing requirements of the state. A heavy burden is placed on the administrative machinery, which is not able to bear. The results in sort of gulf between what is to be intended and implementation. Here the first important aspect is public administration is an activity of the government. All government programs are implemented through public administrative structures. But here the objectives are more and the practical implementation is very less. Number two, personnel management practices in the fields of recruitment and promotion are outdated. Merit is not given adequate recognition in the encouragement. There is shortage of trained personnel in several sectors of administration. Any administrative system depends upon personnel, its employees. But the recruitment of employees, the number of employees, the required employees in the country is not enough. Their promotions, their things, their recruitment, their induction, their training. it has to be changed. So the first, another important problem in the developing countries is personnel or the employees recruitment training systems. Thirdly, the dominance of the generalist administration in the administrative system. It is generalists who yield authority in the corridors of power in the secretariat and other office systems. In India, for example, we are having a generalist administrator, not in a technical or a specialist administration. For example, we need for a drainage, we want water, electricity, hospitals, specialist administrators are required. But in India, we are depending on generalist administration. This is one of the problems in the developing countries. Fourthly, there is a growing centralization in decision making despite the attempts towards greater delegation and decentralization. All over the world, decentralized authority, decentralized decision making is accepted. But in developing countries, decision making is centralized. For example, in India, we have a centralized administrative system taking the decisions at the Delhi level. It has to be operated in a small village. So there is a gap in understanding the program and implementation. Fifthly, corruption in public administration in most developing countries has increased enormously. This has happened not only with India, all developing countries. You take about Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, Nepal, Sri Lanka. You go to any country, corruption is one of the major problems. So hence public administration is suffering with this disease. The another important problem is the relationship between the power yielding politician, that is minister, and the decision implementing public officials is often not as harmonious as it ought to be. The relations between the political master and administrator. This is one of the important problems. The political master, as we can study in political science and everywhere, that a minister is in a political executive. Administrator is in a permanent executive. A minister is going to be that a particular time in an administration, maybe 5 years, maybe 3 years, he has to be elected again. Whereas administrator, that is a permanent executive, he is going to be there the whole of his service. The development is going to be depend upon the relation between this political executive and the permanent executive. But almost all the time, there is a lot of fighting, rupture, unrest in the relations between the political executive and the permanent executive. It has to be solved. So these are some important aspects of understanding the problems of the public administration in the developing societies. Then, what is the importance of public administration? How the public administration is going to solve these things? Number one, increased state activity. Although public administration assumes much importance in modern times in the developed and developing societies as well, its importance to the developing societies needs elaboration and emphasis. Firstly, the developing societies are engaged in the gigantic task of development to eradicate the widespread poverty, illiteracy, disease and hunger. The target is very clear in developing countries. Public administration is having about a gigantic task. Number one, reducing poverty. Number two, fight with illiteracy or whatever type of diseases in the country of the people. The another thing is hunger and corruption. These are the gigantic tasks of the public administration in the state. The strategy adopted in most of these countries for accelerated development is planning. Planning affects administration in several ways, like increasing the scale and variety of administrative operations and greater involvement of the people in the administrative operations. In the formulation and successful implementation of plans and in the timely completion of schemes and projects, administration plays a significant role. It should develop greater sensitivity to the welfare of weaker sections and show greater responsiveness to the political processes. Then the first important aspect is planning. Planning is required. In public administration, all the important thinkers identified the planning is the first important principle of administration. Even to eradicate poverty, to eradicate hunger, to eradicate illiteracy, we require planning. For example, in India, we have about the planning commission prepares the plans for every 5 years, conduct the various parts of the country. Administration's operational focus should be on proper policies and programs and their effective implementation. In other words, the emphasis should be on the people to bring about the desired changes. For this, orientation training for the civil services needs to be emphasized. The civil servants in particular have to be accommodative and sensitive to the needs of the people. Further, effective group performance and coordination have importance of their own in the administration of these societies. All times in developing countries, one important slogan is going to be discussed: people's participation in development programs. It means people has to understand the program, participate in it, and the civil servant has to prepare the people for the development of that people. Public administration, by virtue of its national character, consisting of personnel belonging to different communities, castes, tribes, has a vital role in bringing about national integration. In a country like India and several African countries, this aspect needs much emphasis. The importance of public administration in modern times needs special emphasis. The well-being of the people is increasingly dependent on the performance levels of the machinery of public administration. In developing countries, we have to understand the administrative structure and system has to representative character. In India, we are having a different type of religions, more than 10 religions, different type of communities, different type of languages. Then administration has to represent all these characters. It means we have to provide a facility for all these people to join in administration. Then only we'll get a national character to the administration. Not only in India, take in Africa, different tribes are there, different ethnic groups are there. So one of the important aspect is public administration's aspect is a national character. It has to represent all the people. Then only we can bring out the gigantic ideals of the state, and the high sounding policies and programs of the government are largely realized through the effective performance of the machinery of public administration. The success of all programs in developing countries depend upon how the state is accommodative all the people in administration. Public administration is having another concept of welfare state concept. The range and volume of activities of the administration have increased several times. Industrial revolution, scientific and technological advancement, the acceptance of democratic and welfare state ideals, and socialist principles, the requirements of development administration are the most important causative factors for the increase of the public administration. Its diverse activities and wide-ranging services touch the people at every turn of their life. As a student, you can witness these type of changes. So we are minute to minute, we are using internet, we are using cell phone, a different type of things. Because this is about a scientific and technological revolution, advancement of the technology. In a country, each and everybody has to accept this. Even public administration. Public administration has to change accordingly. Obeying traffic rules, traveling in public transport system, getting scholarship amount in case of socially backward students, registering the employment exchange for getting jobs, utilizing the medical facilities provided by the government hospitals, enjoying the educational and cultural programs broadcast over the media like TV, and getting civil supplies from the public distribution system are some of the examples of the public administration activities which people come into contact in their daily lives. You can simply imagine if the public administration is not there. You want to go to a college, you want to go to a hospital, you need a transport. If you are going to a hospital, you need a doctor. If you want to register an employment exchange for a job, if you need open your internet and see, you need electricity. How these type of activities, all these activities are in a daily life, 24 hours are working for you. This is the state activity. So simply you can imagine how the public administration is functioning in your daily life. It is no exaggeration that there is no field of human activity which the administration is not concerned with either directly or indirectly. Almost most of us, certainly in urban life, including rural life, move and have our being either administering or being administered, or at least as the beneficiaries of the administration. Public administration is an essential part of civilized society in view of its dominant roles in regulation and the principles. Welfare and development, these are the important activity of the government. This has resulted in the emergence of administrative state. That's why various people are calling it as an administrative state. Means each and every activity of a person in the country is administered, controlled, regulated, monitored. It can be stated that the happiness of the vast sections of the community is increasingly dependent on the efficient functioning of the administrative system. In Donhan's view, the ever civilization failed, it would be mainly because of a breakdown of administration is more than a true. So if many people said that, if a civilization is going to be failed, it's because breakdown of administration. You can witness in various countries, the administrative structure fails, automatically anarchy rules. In all over the world, we can witness 3 or 4 countries now. There is a state without a government, without administration. But at the same time, countries like us is a dominant, we are having a perfect character of administration from central to the local level. At the same time, public administration efficiency is going to be increased in the democratic setup. In a democratic context, public administration role is vital in the holding of elections and implementation of the policies and programs of the elected executives. It also assists the legislatures and the ministers in the formulation of policy. It is considered by some scholars that public bureaucracy in the 20th century is at the center of public policy formulation. Eradication of unemployment, eradication of illiteracy, we need a policy. Who is preparing a policy? Minister is going to declare the policy, but public administration assists the minister, a civil servant assists the minister, commissions and committees assist the ministers to come to a policy. That's why in this century, all public policies are formulated by the administrators. Public administration functions in the interest of the people as a whole and not of any particular class of a connection of the society. It is subordinate to the ministers who are responsible to the legislature, should be broadly representative of the various sections of society, and is often representative of bureaucracy. And another important aspect is public administration is a stabilizing force. It is a great stabilizing force in the society. Probably because of this, the Indian civil service during the British rule was called the steel frame of India. Yeah, Britishers started Indian civil service. Later we changed the name as IAS, All India Services. Instead of ICS, it went for All India Services. We are calling IAS, Indian Administrative Service. Immediately after independence, our country faced the gigantic problems of refugee rehabilitation, integration of native states, severe food shortages, and the post-war reconstruction. But for the administration's stabilizing role, there would have been a virtual anarchy. During periodic changes in the government, sometimes changes in the political parties, the administration provides continuity in the country. After British left the country in 1947, there was no upheaval in the administration. So, one of the important aspects that though British left, various political parties came power and another party, there is a change in the political power at the central level, but still public administration has continued the national character of this country. Administrators are essentially the guardians of the traditions. This is what actually we have learned from the British systems, that administrative fails, the alternative is anarchy in the country. This is one of the important aspects. That's why the public administration is an important in the country. This is the first part of our discussion. Dear student, in today's episode, we have learned three important things. Number one, the importance of public administration in developing societies. In this, we have learned what is developing society, the role of public administration in developing society. At the same time, we identified the problems of the developing society and how the public administration is going to eradicate these problems, fight with these problems. This is the first part we have learned. Second, we have learned about that what are the important features related in the developing societies. Number one, we said about employee, that is personal management, national character of administration, constitutional frame, how the public administrators are working under the permanent executive, how these permanent executives are working under the political executive. This is the second part we have learned. Third part we have learned about the how public administration is going to keep the country as a nationalistic, importance of it. So as we discussed, it's a steel frame. It creates a national character. We have faced many problems in the country, but the public administration has given about alternatives to it. Important questions to you. Number one, write a note on the features of public administration in a developing society. Number two, identify important problematic areas in the developing societies and how administration is going to solve it. Number three, what is a democratic setup and how public administration runs in a democratic setup. For a further study, you can go through Avasthi and Maheshwari, Public Administration. 2. Mohit Bhattacharya, Public Administration.